So zero to hero, momentum makers, momentum creators. Let's go.
Hello, everyone. We're back. Finally back. Definitely back. And this is an episode with Tiffany and Vlada. We'll tell you all about what we're doing right now. But first of all, let me just catch up with those girls. How are you, Tiffany? We haven't been able to talk much lately. So,
Well, it's funny because now the tables have turned. Now I'm a guest.
yes,
Exactly.
exactly. Today, the first time you're a guest.
Yeah.
But yes, we will discuss about it a little bit more. But
Yeah,
what
I
is
think
going on? How are you in Europe, first of all?
yes, I am. So
You're in
I'm back in
Europe.
Paris. Yep.
Okay, nice.
Yep. After 2 weeks in the US, which is always nice.
Okay, very cool. So Vlada is, I mean, you met Vlada last time. Vlada is just a couple of information. Vlada, she's my best friend, and we decided to bring her on the podcast because Tiffany, you want to say, it had a little bit of news, let's say. Okay.
Well, I guess it's been news for like a little bit of time, but yeah, so I'm leaving the podcast and handing over the reins to Vlada. And so can't wait to hear more about you, Vlada. And yeah, because I'm starting, like some of the people that we interview, my own entrepreneurial adventure, let's say. And so maybe at a later time, I'll come back and give a lot more details about it. But it will be quite a shift from what I was doing before. Yeah, I'm excited about it. So that's why I'm passing over the reins to Vlad.
Congrats in the first place, Tiff. You're doing a great step. For sure, you're gonna have an amazing experience with that. Thank you so much. You actually, girls, did a great job so far. So I'm super excited to be stepping in. Let's see how it goes. For sure, yeah, it's a very exciting experience for me. It's the first time that I will be on the podcast, but yeah, I have a great partner. I feel because Erika has a lot of experience so far. So yeah, we will learn a lot of new things together. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But so a little bit about myself. I have never done this experience before, as I mentioned. So I'm super happy to start it, and I feel like there is so many things to learn from all the points of view, right? So starting with your communication skills and your skills about startups and scale ups, and social media. So like editing videos, So it's a lot of work, but everything that is new excites me so much. So I'm the kind of person who likes to change job more or less every 2 years because I get bored, because I learn almost everything in my current position, and I really like to change because I want to grow. So whatever feels like growth, I would just jump on it and go for it. So I'm originally Ukrainian, but I grew up in Italy with this beautiful girl that I sitting here next to me. We are best friends since I don't remember 9.
Makes me feel
Oh my
so
God,
freaking old.
Wow.
six,
Yeah, I
16 years
know.
now, right?
I feel very old right now,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, it's been a
We
long
don't
time.
say, we don't count the years. It's fine. Long time. It's
Yeah,
fine.
a long time. So we've been in the university together. We actually met like on the first day, and since that day we never ever like lost each other in life because different friendships and people change life, change careers, change cities.
And I will say
Love
that
that.
the thing that you said, it's really the fact that you actually need something new to try every couple of years. I think this is the thing that like I feel brings us together more. It's more similar between me and you. It's always been like that. Every couple of years we always try new, I don't know, new jobs or new cities or new adventure in order to
Yeah,
grow,
I
to
actually
outgrow
feel like
ourselves really.
we're dragging each other. Like
Yeah.
like I don't know if Erika does something, then I follow. I do something and Erika follows, right?
Yeah.
So it's actually very true, right? But like in a good way, like I don't know, moving cities or I don't know, getting like
Yeah.
new jobs or starting new things, trying new things. So yeah, it's always
But
yeah, probably
Inspire
you're
each other.
yes, for sure. No, but definitely the podcast will be kind of a new experience for both of us because I've been doing this since April with Tiffany, but still I feel like I'm super new in this space. And Tiffany actually taught me a lot because she did a podcast before. So she was already like she had a little bit of knowledge more than me. So I was like always yeah, taking inspiration from you because Tiffany, you are very, like it's hard to be natural and and yourself when you put your face on the videos that you post and on your podcast in general, right? And I think,
Yeah.
yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's a little
especially
bit
when you
of
have people that you don't really know too, who you're talking to. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, you want to
uh,
be prettier than you are, smarter than you are. Of course, you want to give the best of yourself. But I feel like what people are really appreciating nowadays is what your true self.
Yeah.
If you're being yourself, you really show yourself with all like all the negative sides that you
Yeah.
have, because yeah, it's very easy to be beautiful. You use all the filters that we have currently on every social media, but yeah, opening
No,
up
for
yourself
sure.
is, I feel, it's like is the most complicated part.
Let's say we're not expert. We are here to learn and to actually add some value to our audience in terms of like with the content that we are gonna create about startups and scale ups. We want to learn more about successful stories, but also like the ups and downs of the entrepreneurs, like what really is behind the scenes, that like stuff that you actually cannot read on a newspaper. And we want to learn a little bit more about the main challenges and also the wins that they have throughout their process of building a new company. And I think today we can take advantage of that and ask a little bit of question to our Tiffany.
Exactly. So I wanted to ask you one, like, first very generic question, to be honest, because I listen to all the episodes, you know. So at some point I get like really passionate about the podcast, even if before I was never listening to podcasts in my life. Erika was like pushing me,
I
please
forced
listen to
her.
my podcast. Like, come on, it's mine. Like, I created it. I was like, no, like, I listened to the first 10 minutes. Like, yeah, it's fine. Like, just go ahead. You're going to be fine. But then I got really passionate because, I understood like you really, get some useful information from the entrepreneurs. And yeah, so my first question to you would be how, like, after all these episodes that you've done, how would you say you managed to get to, like, to put them in their, like, comfort zone and try to ask them the questions that you would normally never ask? So I don't know, for example, how do you make them open up, right?
Mhm.
What you try, what are your like methods, what are the strategy, what do you use? It is your charm, is it your the tone of your voice, or is it like maybe specific questions?
well, okay, I think I don't know, maybe you can answer this too, but I feel like there's no specific strategy. And also, I don't feel like we ever ask questions like super personal questions that would like embarrass somebody, like tell us about your first crush, like thing like nothing like this. But I think when, like, especially in this subject of like entrepreneurs and investors, you're interviewing people who really know their topic, like they're the expert. It's easy for them to talk about something that they're passionate about. And Erika, I think like some of our best episodes, we said like that episode was so good, and it's because the person that we were talking to, they were really excited. They had so much to say, like they got ideas when they were talking, and that's because they are the expert. They are true to their passions. And I think, like, at least I was looking at it as like trying to understand that, like trying to understand their view and just like getting deeper into their specific topic with them.
Yeah, I felt like they were speaking about their babies, right? During like all the episodes
Yeah.
that I've listened. Of course, it was so easy for them because they created something from zero, and of course, they're proud now to tell us the entire story.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we are
Yeah.
curious about you now, just a little bit.
About me now?
Yes,
Yes.
tell us a little bit about starting from how did you have the idea? Like, why did you actually mature this desire to leave corporate? Because we met at SAP, you were working at SAP. And so, how did you come up with the need of actually living the corporate life, which is pretty secure and comfortable on some levels, of course, and just go all in with your idea?
Well, so the idea, let's say, if I think about it in hindsight, like it's been with me for a really long time. It's so I don't want to say too much because I am still very early on in the process. So working in SAP, obviously it's a corporate tech company. And before working there, I actually have a background in a much more creative field. So I was studying art before, like pure art, making a portfolio, writing about artwork. I really didn't have like any economic classes, business classes, anything. So when I first came to SAP, it was a really big shift. And the question was always like, why are you at SAP? Like, what are you doing here? Because before I was like making costumes and things like this. So at SAP, I kind of had to answer that same question, like, why are you here and what are you doing? But it was interesting. Like there was really in tech, there's always so much, something is new every day. Like you can really go into a rabbit hole. Like there's so many waves of technology that we had. And I was always passionate about fashion and retail. And just alone there's so much technology. Whereas more, I was on like, let's say a more traditional path of like learning techniques and like really interested in like the artisanal side of things when I didn't know about this technology side. So at SAP, that's a lot of what I was doing was like learning about technology and yeah, I ended up staying there for 8 years. So a long time.
Yeah.
But the whole time I really still felt a bit disconnected. And I really wanted to go back to that original path of more of creativity. I wanted to launch my own brand. And during the time at SAP, I had the opportunity to work with a lot of interesting companies. So some of the biggest fashion and retail companies, and also some nonprofits that were great, like Runway of Dreams, where I learned about adaptive fashion and like how fashion, there's a big gap in it for people with disabilities, for example. And so in the last couple of years, I had, the like urge builds up and it's like, oh, well, I get to a point where I kind of regret the path. And some point you just have to sort of like cut. And so what I'm working on today, I'll just share a little bit, is a lingerie brand for people with disabilities. So people who have upper body limitations, maybe in your hands, your shoulders, also just for anyone really, like all of us here travel for work. Erika, you have a brand new, beautiful baby boy. So just busy people and who are looking for something comfortable, but still retain this element of, appeal. There's a story in a brand. There's a desire that it creates. And so that's really like a little bit of what I'm working on. And the idea kind of came as an accumulation of experiences. And one day, not that long ago, my grandma called me and she's like, can you come over and help me? And she like wants me to come over and help her put her bra on. And I was like,
That should
okay.
be easy to do, right? But maybe you don't think about it, those things.
Yeah, you just don't think about it.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
and then when you start to think about it, you're like, yeah, it actually
Yeah.
is really annoying. Like,
Yeah.
it actually is not so easy. Like, you can really understand how that is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, a little bit of, I guess, where the idea came from, a little bit about what it is.
Yeah,
And
so you actually kind of had the time to identify a gap in the market, you say, during your time at SAP. So you had this
Yeah, for
idea,
sure.
and was your initial idea the one that you're going for right now? Or did you change your value proposition when you started the company?
So the idea that I'm working on now is the same idea as when I left SAP. And so in that way, yes.
Okay.
And then, yeah, to your point, like working at SAP, that really introduced me to, I was able to have an insight into this market that I didn't have before, like the potential. Also, I'm doing a part-time master's program at the IFM in Paris. So this is another great resource where I'm really able to be connected and meet leaders who, for example, we had somebody from like a big marketplace company in Europe, and they were talking about just randomly, like, no, they don't know what I'm doing, but they were talking about how adaptive fashion is really important for them. And it's really like a big focus for 2025. Through both experiences, I was able to have some insights into the market. And then, of course, I am doing a lot of research on my own. I mean, the more you research, the more you find, and it's, yeah.
But can you say, Tiffany, can you say that, like, thanks to SAP, you understood you wanted to do this, or you feel like you could have started earlier and actually the experience at SAP was a bit, let's say, just time consuming and not really useful for what you're going to be doing now?
So I definitely don't, I don't really see SAP as like thanks to them or that or the opposite. Rather, like I had so many great things in my life that have come from SAP. My husband is from SAP. So,
Right.
so there's a lot of amazing experiences that I was able to have, a lot of like very positive things. Like I grew in a way that I would say like, left brain, right brain. Like I grew the other side of my brain working there. So like that experience definitely has compounded into something. So I don't regret it or feel like I wasted time or anything like that. I mean, I think everyone's experience compounds into something eventually. Like you're definitely when I was there, I was sometimes like, when people are like, "Why are you here?" I'm like, "Yeah, why am I here?" And then you look back and you're like, "Oh, that's why."
Yeah, you felt kind of like, as you said, disconnected or out of place from time to time. But what actually gave you
And I think
the
everyone feels that way. Like, I think even people who really like their job, sometimes they're like, "Do I really like my job?" Like, so
I mean,
yeah,
that can happen at every step of your career, I guess, because you don't feel motivated every single day. You need to make yourself motivated every single day in order to deliver and to do a great job. But of course, you have doubts. Of course, there are ups and downs. But
yeah.
when did you actually decided, okay, this is the moment I have the knowledge that I need, or I'm gonna just go all in. I want to do this thing.
Well, I guess I decided like 6 months ago.
Yeah, no, no, I know we were together. We talked a little bit about this also in the podcast. But like, at which
Yeah.
point did you say, okay, I this is the right moment in my, I don't know, in my personal life to take this jump, for example, or you felt more knowledgeable at this point of your life? What were
I
the reasonings,
I
or
definitely did
like
not feel knowledge.
it's
Or
always
maybe
a
you
risk,
had enough resources to start, because let's be
maybe? Yeah,
honest, to open a company, like you usually never start from zero, right? You have to have some funds, probably, something to
Yeah, you have to
invest,
have
or
something to build on. Yeah.
yeah. So
So yeah.
So the moment you chose, basically 6 months ago, was the right that you consider was the right moment for you from, I feel like, different points of view, like maybe financial stability, emotional stability, professional stability, I don't know. So you consider different things, or how it came up? How did you understood, like, this is the moment, like I do it now, or I don't do it? What pushed you?
So to answer your question, I mean, I think it for everyone it's going to be different. Like you maybe want to feel comfortable in one area versus another one, and I mean, I don't know. I can't tell you that I feel like super comfortable. I mean, and it's all like very new. We'll have to see like in a bit of time how does it come together. But I think it would be interesting to even ask somebody who uh has their business at 1 year or at two years, at 5 years, someone who's founded multiple companies, because I mean, I think your perspective changes with time.
yeah, of
And I
course.
don't think I have enough distance. I feel like I just made the decision.
No,
So
but
I don't think I have enough
this is
distance to
also a
say.
good lesson learned, I think, for from your story, because you say, okay, even though you haven't figured out everything, right? Every component, maybe like the fundings, or like you're still learning, you're still doing your master, you're just doing it, you're just going for it, and taking a little bit of risk and trying to quantify your risk as well. But also it's good to know there is, I think, and I feel the same, I feel like there is never the perfect moment in your life to just
Yeah,
drop
I agree.
everything and follow your dreams and build your own company. It's always scary, and you probably feel like you're not enough at the moment when you're doing it, right? And I think it's just the exact same for anyone, from everyone. Yeah, besides the people that are like experienced founders, maybe, or that they're more mature. But at this age, with zero experience, I feel like everyone feels the exact same.
Yeah.
That
Yeah. I
it's so
mean,
nice to share.
yeah, as you go on, like because some, like, just in the last few weeks, like I had a week where I was like, wow,
Yeah,
like the stars are aligning. And then like
yeah.
2 days later, I'm like, oh shit, I need to start over again.
It's true
So
that. That's
So
exactly
this.
what my husband tells me because he has a startup as well, right? So he's
Yeah.
like, okay, now like one day you feel like you crack the code, then you figure it out, and you have it like just going, everything is going very well, and then the next day it feels like everything is going to shit, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a crazy roller coaster.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
same like when I moved to Geneva and I started to learn French, like at some point I was like, okay, I've got it, like I speak it perfectly. Okay, I'm a pro, right? And the day after, oh my God, what were they talking about? I understand literally zero, and I was like going from one day to another. So how is it possible, such a big difference? But I feel like in any new thing we are starting, we will always feel the same, and this is the nice part of the learning process. You feel that because when you start feeling you're comfortable 100%, then maybe you get bored, right? And so you want to
Yeah.
start something new,
Yeah. Oh, I mean,
so
the
you look for it.
speaking French thing too. That's true. That's a
Yeah.
good parallel lesson. Like,
You
we'll
feel
have
the
to
same
practice
thing.
with each other. Yeah, because I feel like so this will be my 4th year living in France, and like I'm like, okay, so I talk to my husband in French, talk to his parents, like we're good, we can do this situation, that situation now, like okay, all is better. But then 2 days ago I went and I took like a test because I want to do another level in French, and right after the test I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm so bad, It's like it's like when you put a
Yeah.
ruler to it, then you realize you're
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm not as great. But in the other hand, like you've come so far. You're like, oh my gosh, but
Exactly. You're
Yeah, it's
improving
the
every
same
single
for
day.
me. Yeah, I'm here for 3 years and I'm still not manager like 100%. So we have a goal now. Like next episode, I don't know when, we have to do it in French. You and me,
okay,
Tiffany. That's the
okay,
goal.
But
c'est parti. Let's go.
But Tiffany, what do you think was the hardest thing so far? Have been the most difficult thing up until now, in building your company, your startup?
I mean, I can tell you, I'm like I feel, well, I don't know. I feel like right now I'm in the most difficult thing, which is like the administrative side of things in France is a nightmare. Like, is a nightmare. And especially being American, like, for example, in the US, you can create a company online in 10 minutes. You pay $75. You
Yes,
register your
true.
company in your state. You ask for like an employee number, and bada bing, bada boom, you have a company. And you can like grow and manage your company. I imagine if you're French in France, maybe it's not as difficult, but the administrative side is pretty discouraging and pretty challenging actually. And like sometimes we've even talked on the podcast before with entrepreneurs in Europe, and
Mm-hmm.
they often bring up this comparison to like the US and Europe,
Yeah.
and like you really feel a difference. Like and it's like for these simple things, it seems like, why is it so hard for someone to create a company and have a company number? Why is that so difficult? And so like small things like that could like easily open up, provide more economic opportunities, let's say.
So you decided to register the company in France,
Well,
right?
let's see. I'm gonna try.
Okay. Because I remember there
Yeah.
was always like this doubt whether it was worth it to register in US or in Europe, and because
Well,
of that,
because I live in France.
yeah,
There's an ecosystem here that I want to connect with. And a lot of cases, in order to connect with that ecosystem, it's a literal like, okay, well, do you have your company number? Like it's a literal, it's a question. Like,
okay,
it's like, do you have
it's
a license to
mandatory.
do
Yeah,
business? Yeah. Yeah.
no, it makes sense.
And so that is quite challenging, and especially when you want to create a creative company too, it's not so easy to wear all the hats. So yeah, it would be great. I'm thinking maybe it would be good to find a co-founder. So I'm open to this idea.
Okay, so for whoever is listening to this podcast, you can reach out to Ad or to Tiffany directly if you're interested.
Yeah.
And what are you thinking right now in terms of financing? Are you bootstrapping at the moment, or will you eventually, or are you already looking for VCs, for angel investors?
I'm gonna listen to now your guys' podcast and hear about what other people do
Okay,
and take some advice on the
on that
best
side.
approaches. Yeah. Because Yeah, it's interesting. Like people do ask me that question a lot, and I ask other people back, like, oh, "What do you think about it?" Because it's interesting to understand one how what people have done, but like why they choose the reasons that they choose.
I guess the evaluate, like the giving up of the equity is a big part of it. Like it's a main cons,
Yeah.
let's say. But if he, that's why probably usually when they can start, some startups try to raise money later on in order to raise the valuation and give up less equity of the company. But I mean, I think also it depends on how much capital you need to start the company and how much you have, right? If it's enough to just get the first, in your
Yeah.
case,
Yeah, like there's
pilot test samples, I would say, case of lingerie, right?
yeah, exactly. I mean, because there's someone that I follow that actually is quite a good reference. So if anyone's listening that wants to start a brand, I really suggest you follow her. She's called Virtue and Vice, and she shares a lot of stories about people that she works with because she's also consulting for brands. So she has some good free resources, and she says you can start a brand with 2,500 euros. Like you don't need to have 100 million euros to start a brand.
Interesting.
But it's not a perfect formula. Yeah, there's people that you probably follow on Instagram who gain
Yeah.
like these big followings, and then they're like, okay, I'm gonna make
Yeah.
a t-shirt with my name on it. And it's something super simple. They pay like $500 for 200 t-shirts, then they're able to like grow that way because they already have the community. Whereas if you don't have a community, like you may have to take a different approach. So like I've talked to people who said like, yes, my brand failed because I don't have enough money. I don't know, like there's probably more to the story than that. So I don't know what the perfect amount of money is. Like I think it probably
What's
depends
the
on.
different approach that you mentioned in case you don't have a community?
I mean, just to say, like if you're gonna start your company with 2,500 euros, let's say, there's different conditions that would make it easier for some than others. So if somebody already has 10 million people on their followers on Instagram, of course that's gonna go way farther. Then they don't need to pay for marketing. They don't need to acquire an audience that they already have that's really engaged with them. But it can go another way. Like you could have no one following you. You could have the same amount of money and you start selling t-shirts on the street in New York, and somebody makes a TikTok story about you, and then all of a sudden you have a
You
brand
go viral, yeah.
1 month later. Like there's just so many factors. I don't know that there's a recipe. I mean, I wish there was. I'm trying to create a recipe.
Yeah, I don't know, it makes sense. But like in this case, what do you think, how important you think is the role of influencers in this space?
So, well, this is interesting because outside of my project as well, this is just an interesting question in general.
Yeah.
And actually, while I'm doing my studies again, part time, we have a project on this exact topic right now. So is like a totally new way of marketing that hasn't existed in the way it does today before. So now you have like micro influencers. Maybe they have like 50,000 followers or something compared to somebody who has like 250 or almost a million or
Million.
over like 10 million, for example. And they become like channels in themselves of like product promotion, storytelling, promotion. They can serve a brand really well. They can serve a brand like really badly. It's I mean, it's kind of again like a tricky game you have to figure out, I think, for whatever you're trying to promote. Because if you go to somebody's page and they're like, yeah, try my new smoothie that's sponsored by whatever. And then they're like, and here's my kid and she's wearing the diapers from whatever. Like their whole page feels like the TV show where they were used to sell stuff like QVC.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel very authentic. But then at the same time, if you have someone who's like doing some engaging content and they just so happen to be wearing something interesting, then you're like, I kind of like that. Like, where'd they get that? And it's more of like a subtle way of influencing. Yeah. I don't remember what your original question was. I'm just going on a rant.
No. My original question was like exactly what do you think about influencers and how important do you think
They're
is
really
their role
important,
in a
though.
business like yours, for example? If you want to start
Really
like a lingerie or like a fashion new brand, how much would you be willing to rely on and invest on influencers if you don't have a community? Because I think that's a quickest way to get to become viral, to hope that your brand will become viral, right? But I don't know if it's the best way.
Yeah,
I don't know if
because
it's if they actually if the audience will end up actually buying your product, or it's just like, yeah, you're gonna maybe you grow your channel, your online channel, your online Instagram, right? But then you don't have actual customer at the end, buying customer at the end.
yeah, because yeah, because I think for my view on it right now is that influencers are important.
Yeah.
Like I won't say that they're not important. Like they definitely should be part of my marketing strategy, my product strategy too. Like I think what you're saying is if you work as a new brand with an influencer and then you say I'm gonna launch a product with this influencer, let's say for example, then you kind of risk launching your product and having your brand associated with an influencer, and you're saying I want to get their audience.
Yeah.
But if your product is like known for that influencer, it's more their brand than your brand in a way. So that could be like a potential
That
risk.
and also how much money do you think is willing? There is a risk on investing your capital in influencers, because I don't know if it actually converts, like the money, the capital you put in, I don't know if it actually
Yeah.
converts into buying customers, or it's just like people following your Instagram channels, but at the end they're not buying it. They're just like, following it because it's trendy. Maybe like an influencer follows your page, for example. But then
Yeah, but then you can't really tell, like, unless they buy it on the influencer's page, like a TikTok shop or something, then you
yeah,
can't really tell, like, did it have an effect? I
yeah,
mean, I feel like if you had like, I don't know, like a super celebrity, like maybe like Jenny, like the K-pop star, wear one of your things, like, yeah, maybe it would sell out in like 2 seconds. And then you would
no, of
know.
course, yes.
But
Yeah, I
like,
think they track
if
it with the code, right? I don't know.
yeah,
Tiffany
but you
sends
wouldn't
you.
even, if for like someone like that, you wouldn't even have the code. But if you're like, okay, I'm gonna launch this product, like she's gonna be the only one to wear it, and then it sells out, you know, it's
No, of
like,
course.
yeah. But
Yeah,
like,
but I was wondering
I
more
don't
like
know.
for smaller influencers, right? And influencers that have 1K of followers, like not that many. How big of an impact can they have on your brand?
Supposedly they have more of an impact. Like they have, because I mean, again, I'm not an expert in this, so I don't know. But like, supposedly they have more engaged followers often when it's like a smaller community because
Yeah.
they're following someone because they're truly interested.
Okay.
I don't know if this
Interesting.
is accurate still, but it's hard because everyone is an influencer. Everyone, when you post, you're like trying to influence your followers to
Yeah.
think something about you or have a certain perception about you.
Okay, so you're not select. You don't know yet what your strategy will be in that sense.
I keep it open.
Fair enough.
And can I ask one last question? I was curious, what is your biggest dream about this startup? Like, what is the final biggest goal? Like, I don't know, to become worldwide famous or open branches in all the countries, or you're gonna focus only on Europe, or I don't know, maybe one day you will want to focus only on Asia. I don't know. Have you ever thought about it? Or maybe collaboration with, I don't know, Victoria's Secret or La Perla, whatever. What is your biggest dream?
I would love every woman in the world to have one of my bras
Okay.
and panties, and it'd be their favorite one, their go-to one.
Amazing.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Dreams. Dream
You
big.
have, yeah, I feel like you have to dream big and try.
Of course.
And I'm sure, I wish you the best of luck. I'm sure you're gonna do great.
Thank you. I wish you guys the best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We wish you all
I'm
the
excited to
success.
see the momentum for momentum.
Yes, yes. And also we want updates. So you will be,
Yeah, I'll come back.
you will come back. Exactly. You will be our
Win or lose,
guest.
I'll be back.
Yes, of course. But no, you will
But
come
you
back
will
and
be
tell us.
winner.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. I hope so.
And we can talk about every stage of this amazing journey that you're living.
Yeah. And it's still the beginning. So
Yeah.
don't judge me for anything I say
We don't judge. We don't judge. And we
in
want to
1 year
know
from now.
the good and the bad of what you're doing, because regardless of how it's gonna go, I think you had a lot of courage in just like believing in your idea and again going all in for it. And I think this is honestly remarkable, and you are an inspiration for us whatsoever. Like regardless, doesn't
And you-
matter how it's gonna go. You know.
Yeah.
And both of you guys too. I mean, I think that I know that Erika, you were like, let's take the podcast to the next level.
Yeah, I'm always like pushing like crazy.
No, but I think that's great. And I think like that's courageous as well. And I think it will pay off too. I mean,
Yeah, we hope so. We believe in that. And Vlada is very it's actually full of energy. It's super energetic,
Yeah.
super positive. So let's see. I think
Yeah,
it
I told you,
will do.
you girls made me fall in love with with the podcast. Like a person who never listened to any podcast. So you did a really, really great job. That's why I hope I will continue it, and I will do it
Like
even better.
father.
I hope.
Yeah.
Probably.
I'll have to recommend you some podcasts. I listen to podcasts so often.
Really.
Yeah,
Okay,
you
yeah.
should. You should
Yeah.
give it to us more tips. And
yeah.
so we're looking forward for the next episode with Tiffany in the future. So stay tuned.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you
To
for
follow
having
more
me.
about
Thank
her
you so
story.
much for being with us
Thank
and for
you,
sharing
Tiffany.
the first stages of this amazing journey. Wish you all the success of the world. And
Yeah, I
let's
like being on this
reconnect
side of
soon.
the table. Bye,
We
girls.
love you. We love you.
Bye.
Best of luck. Bye.
Bye.